Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the New Ways podcast. I am your host, Shell Fuller, aka The New Ways, and I am thrilled to have our new guest here with us today, Mr. Professor Dictabeat, aka Armando, who is a very good friend of mine, and I have to say, we had a lot of fun chatting with each other. He is probably on my list of the top 5 people that I enjoy talking to the most in my life, and is a really good friend. And he is an amazing electronic music producer. He's really found a way to really turn music into a profitable business, or at least a income generating business. So let's try and see if I can get him on the line quickly. 1 second. Hello, are you there? I can't hear you. Oh, Lord. Obviously, he doesn't know what he's doing. He has no clue what he's doing. Your microphone isn't working. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's see. What else? It's so funny how someone who works in music can't get their microphone to work. It's a damn shame. Damn shame.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, unfortunately, yes.
Okay, shut up.
Do you hear our live studio audience? They're booing already.
Yes, that's right on brand.
That's what we have in the background. They're just there just to boo you.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
I had used this headphone with a microphone, so that I
like
hate
a
it when
call
people
center, like a
use...
common call center?
Yes, because I actually hate it when people use their MacBook microphone and speakers, because then it sounds like you're so far away, and the quality is so crappy that I thought I'm going full call center on this guy, and
Well, that's
I
why I
got
have
you this headphones.
that's why I have a podcast microphone.
That's even better, but
That's why my voice is so clear and wonderful.
I love it. I love it. You sound like an angel.
Yeah, that's what I sound like.
Too bad I actually know you though. 'Cause I know
Too
better.
bad you know the truth. You're like, you sound like an angel, but we all know the truth. Oh God.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm already like recording, so it's already too late. Everything goes in. Where's your wife?
My wife is
Yeah.
in the living room doing her thing. Yeah.
How much new equipment have you bought? How upset is she with you at this moment?
I recently got a new synthesizer, 4 different modules, and a boombox. So I would say she's about a 7 on the scale of anger.
What's a boombox?
Um, well, one of those old things from the
Yeah.
past, from the
Oh, you
80s,
mean like a
ghetto.
real boombox?
Yeah, like an old school ghetto blaster, boombox,
Oh
the
shit.
thing with a cassette player and a radio and all that stuff.
You just got that because you have that promo thing when you want to hear your little cassette.
Yes, I did. I thought to myself, how can I play my own new single on cassette when I don't even have a cassette player anymore? And I heard that cassette is making a huge comeback.
Oh, have you?
So I'm ahead of the curve because ain't nobody buying vinyl records anymore. Why
Oh,
why
they're
would
buying
they?
cassettes now?
They're buying
Is
cassettes
that why
now,
I see
so
so many people just walking down the street with pencils trying to fix their cassette their cassette tapes like it's
exactly.
old?
No, that's just because they're in Berlin and they're trying to write down everything because they don't understand how smartphones work.
How did you find a boombox and how much did that set you back?
Well, I am registered as a company as Professor Dictabeat
Oh,
because
yeah.
otherwise the tax man can't, claim his pound of flesh.
Yeah, because
But
I'm sending this to the tax office directly after the show's done, just so they can
yes,
get all the truth.
Oh no, they know they're in on the whole scam.
Oh, okay. Good, good. Okay.
But
But,
because I'm registered as a company, I can shop through wholesale companies.
but you can still
Um,
find those things like it's the old like classic like silver like big box
well,
thing.
I'll tell you what they have nowadays. Not only can you find brand new cassette players these days, they actually come with a Bluetooth function so that you can connect um, whatever you have on Bluetooth with you. But this thing has a cassette player, a radio, Bluetooth feature, mic input, MP3 input for USB sticks, and
Mm-hmm.
a SD card, and it comes with all the bells and whistles. So it's the old school feel with a new school vibe.
Oh, see, I thought you got a real old school. I see you got a recreation of an old school, but a real like authentic one you didn't buy. Okay, I understand.
Nah, you can buy those as well, but you have to go to places like what's it called, that secondhand market thing? Um,
Oh,
not
the one,
not
the yeah, the one in Prince
not the eBay
Albert.
one. Not yeah, those, but you also have Etsy shops where people refurbish old school gear,
Mm-hmm.
and then it works like it's brand new, but it just looks like crap. Uh, I
Because
mean, authentic.
it's been sitting in an attic for like 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden someone's like, I can do something with this. This would be great.
But then you can own an original Sony Walkman, which apparently have the superior parts in them from back in the day, but
The old
I'm
school
not gonna.
Walkmans, yeah. I mean, they were,
It just sounds like a pitch, sales pitch.
oh God, you believe in cassettes, but the old school Walkman is a conspiracy.
Yes,
Okay, I get it.
exactly.
I get it. Okay. Well, I guess we should talk about you since I invited you to the podcast, which I'm instantly regretting, obviously. Um,
Obviously. I don't get it either. Like, what's wrong with you?
I don't know. Sometimes I have these fever dreams, and then I'm like, I'm going to talk to Armando. Then I'm like, why did I do that? No. Um,
Nope.
I
Poor
guess
decision making.
for people who don't know you, tell them a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Why are you in Berlin? All this stuff, all the cool little background stuff.
All right. Well, my story starts in Guatemala, where I was born. And
I thought you were born in. Weren't you? I thought you were born in Holland.
no, I was not. I was maybe reborn in Holland because I moved to Holland when I was 2, and I was raised there, but I was born in Guatemala. And fun
Oh,
fact is, my parents aren't even Guatemalan because my father's from Nicaragua, my mother's from El Salvador, and I just happened to be born in Guatemala because they just happened to be there at the time. So
your
I'm
parents
like
just
one of
wanted.
those.
They just wanted to confuse you. They're like,
Yeah,
let's start off by making his life really confusing.
they were like, surprise, bitch, you're Guatemalan now.
Exactly. Okay.
But I came to Holland, to the Netherlands, Amsterdam, when I was 2 years old. Was raised there, and at some point, I had to escape the country. And no, just kidding. I decided to go to Berlin.
Yeah, drug cartel. I know.
Yes, the cheese cartel.
Yeah, exactly. I knew it was something. If it wasn't drugs, it had to be cheese.
Exactly. No, I went to Berlin for a getaway, actually. I just tried to take 5 days off, and I
Hmm.
realized that I loved this city. And then 3 months later, I had packed up all my stuff and I had moved here with the intention to spend 6 months of my life as a sort of a break from the clubbing scene. Because in the Netherlands, I was a event manager. I
Okay.
had techno events going on and electro events, and I was also DJing there. But at some point, it became so much, I just needed a break. And out of
Wait,
all places I could go to, I went to Berlin, not knowing that that was the mecca of techno.
you didn't know that before?
I didn't know that before. I mean, I'd heard of the Love Parade, but I'd never
Yeah.
been,
Okay.
and I didn't put the pieces together. So at some point, when I was in Berlin, I still didn't catch on because I never went clubbing. I
Yeah.
just went to see the cultural things. And at some point, once I had actually moved here,
Hmm.
I realized that Berlin is, the techno UNESCO heritage thing that it is today.
Exactly. How long have you been in Berlin?
I think now it's been 14 years.
Oh, you're also one
Yeah,
of the long ones like me, almost 21 years. Yeah.
yes, I'm an official import Berliner.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yep.
So, is there a reason? Do you know why did your parents move to Amsterdam when you were two?
Oh, that's a bit of a tragic story because back then in the 80s in Guatemala and South America in general,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of political BS going on. And in Guatemala, there was a civil war happening. And my parents were like, nope, F this, we're out of here. But
Mm-hmm.
my auntie had just moved to Holland because she had gotten married to a Dutchie.
Mm-hmm.
And then my father said, you know what, my kids are not safe here. Please take my kids to the Netherlands. We'll follow right after you. We're right behind you guys. And then by the time I got to the Netherlands, my parents got killed. At least one, my parents got killed, and he never made it over. And then my
Wait a minute,
mother,
go back. What happened?
he got killed.
Who got killed?
My father, my biological father.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, so that was very intense, of course. And he died when I was 2 years old, so I never really got to know anything about him.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 19, I got to meet my biological mother because
Okay.
she was still stuck in Guatemala. But at the same time, I couldn't go there because when you go to South America, uh, and you're still 18 and you don't have a Dutch passport, you just go to the army and there's no questions asked. So you just have to enlist. And my caretakers, the people I call my parents here,
Yeah.
they basically said, not on our watch.
Yeah.
So they waited until I was 19, got my Dutch passport, and then they said, okay, let's go see your mom so you can get, learn who she is and everything.
Yeah.
Which I did, but then she got cancer, unfortunately, and then she died from that.
Jesus
So
Christ.
yeah, it piles up, huh?
You
But
should have told me about this before. You start off a podcast. I'm already depressed. Jesus Christ. That's a
oh
lot. But
my.
what's so sad about it is also now when you look at like South America and you look at what's going on in like Venezuela and stuff,
Hmm.
it's just like there just seems to be like no end. It's just the problems. It moves from one
Oh
place
yeah.
to the next. It's just it's ridiculous.
I don't think it'll ever change. I mean, the US loves destabilizing Latin America, and Latin Americans love their corruption as
It's what we
well. And it's
do. This is like it's like a
it's
hobby for
it's
American government. They're just like, oh, what's going on? Oh, everything's going okay. Let's fuck it up.
exactly. Is there oil there? Let's go.
Especially if there's oil there. If you have oil, if you discover oil, then you can pretty much guarantee that the Americans are coming to fuck your shit up. Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty
Definitely.
much.
Um,
No,
you've been
but
doing a lot of stuff recently though.
I have. I
And
have.
I was like looking online and I was like, oh, should I be jealous or should I not be jealous? But you're doing a lot. Have you have an EP or you have a new song coming out or it's come
Actually, it's
out?
already out.
Yeah,
It
it's a
just launched. It's a double whammy. So there's two songs that came out.
mhm.
Um, I didn't know which one to release first, and I love both so much that I said, you know what? Nobody ever does a double release anymore. What's up with that?
Yeah,
And I
what's up with
know
that?
it's easier to spread the releases and try and, stretch the content and all that BS. And I'm not like that. I just want to give my music to people. And I said, you know what? Here's a double whammy. So I got two songs,
Mm-hmm.
ROCKSTAR with remixes by Fanatic 12,000 and Never Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Break the Silence featuring a vocalist called Dre, not
Mm-hmm.
to be confused with Dr. Dre. That's a
Mm.
totally different person.
Okay, yeah, I don't know about that.
But that has a remix by an artist called F12K, which
Okay.
sounds very similar to Fanatic 12,000, but it's not. And yeah, I decided if I'm going to do something like this, like a double whammy, I have to do something special this time because honestly, when I see people online go like, "Hey, there's my new single, buy it," I just auto ignore it. I can't with these people anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
So,
I know, like I look online and I see it, and I just I just can't like I don't know, I can't do those videos like, hey,
no.
look at this is what I have going on. But I have a question because you just made a comment. So I feel like you just attacked my marketing plan for my newest EP about extending the singles over a long period of time. So what's wrong with extending? I mean, but your singles aren't connected to like an EP. They're just singles by themselves, right? Or are they
Exactly.
connected?
They're just
Okay.
singles by themselves.
Okay.
I I've been planning to do an EP, but honestly, uh, I think an EP is a lot of work, and I'm way too lazy for an EP.
Oh,
I'm just
come
gonna put that out
on.
there.
Really? I
Um,
mean, I have to say this EP that I did, I spent a lot of time on it because I had a lot of time. So,
yeah.
but, yeah, well, yeah.
No, I think with when it comes to EPs, it does take a lot of time, and I've made a few songs that I wanted to compile into an album. And
Mm-hmm.
then in the end, I thought to myself, you know what, these would work better as separate ones. But then the remixes came and got added to it. And then before I knew it, I'd lost my entire structure and my EP just got scattered. And yeah, my in that sense, my release schedule is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It sounds
but
like
I
you're not
would love
taking
to do an
respons
EP.
It sounds like you're just not taking responsibility for the fact that you're unstructured.
No, it's because I'm a
Other people,
musician.
honestly, other people, right?
What musician takes responsibility for their own stuff?
Yeah, it's true. That's true.
It's
When you
that's
start working on a song, like, do you have a certain process? Like, how does a song start with you? Like, do you have a concept, or do you sort of hear something and then you're like, oh, that sort of like kicks off the next step, or how does that work with you?
with me it's kind of grown or evolved over the years. So now when I want to start a new song, I go out and I look for inspiration. And I don't mean necessarily music from others or anything, but I look for a feel
Mm-hmm.
or feeling. I just think to myself, what makes me feel like dancing? What makes me feel inspired? What would I dance to? And when I get something that's, like for example, the song Rockstar, I felt inspired by old 80s videos where people were doing breakdance, and I thought it looked so cool, and they're all doing the robot. And I thought to myself, how would I interpret that in a song? And then I
Mm-hmm.
started using a vocoder to mimic a robot and giving instructions like robots do. And I tried to shape the sound around it to resemble 80s electric boogie.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as you know, mostly into electro as an artist,
Yeah.
and I try to make it authentic sounding, but not cheesy or copied from anybody.
Yeah.
And trying to find the differences there, that's
But that's
always where I
also
try
very,
to
but
separate myself.
I think with electro, that can be actually rather challenging because I think with electro, there's good when electro is good, it's really good. But then
Yeah.
also when it's bad, it's just really bad. Like for me, I never saw like a middle ground. I have never found an electro song where I have been like sort of like, oh, it's good, but it's also a little cheesy. It's either one or the other.
Yeah. And that's what I completely agree with, because electro can get very cheesy very quick. And when I
Yeah,
listen to a lot of other artists, I feel that they either fall back into this 80s style copying of cheesiness, or they resort to this industrial sounding, dark, cold formula that a lot of people seem to be doing these days. And
yeah.
I get it, but at the same time, I try to push for more
Hmm.
because I want to stand out with my music, not sound like everybody else with my music.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
Um,
that you get it because, like, I was looking up music the other day for a mix, and I was going through just like different like online sources,
mhm.
and I don't understand when all of a sudden 140 was like a normal BPM. Like, I just like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that. Like, it's what's interesting. I found a lot of songs that are like really like 140, and then I slow them down to like 130. And then what I found is interesting is that I find a lot of those songs become a lot more interesting when you slow them down
Yep.
because it's like they have like a houseier groove or another type of groove, and when they're so fast, you're just like, okay, it's just a beat. But when you slow them down, then you start to find the interesting qualities, I think, because you're not being bombarded with how quickly the tempo of the original song is.
Absolutely. When I was learning how to play guitar as a teenager, I had this teacher who was brutally, brutally honest. And I would always tell him, I want to learn how to play fast. And he says, no, you need to learn how to play the fast songs slow first
Mm-hmm.
before you can get good and learn how to play them fast. And I realized that playing a fast song slow is so much harder
Mm-hmm.
than people, understand. And at some point that that made my technique a lot better. And I try to apply that same principle with my music. I don't buy into the trend of everything having to be 140, 50, 60
I
BPM.
refuse. I refuse. I'm sorry, maybe because I'm older, but you're not going to give me a heart attack. No,
Nope, it's
no,
not worth it. I want my people to be able to hear what I'm playing and enjoy
exactly.
it. But I do play roughly between 125 and 133 BPM,
Yeah.
which is already fast enough.
132, 133 is like maximum, really, to be honest with you. It's like that's when you really want to like get the heart rate up and get people moving. But like once they hit 140, I'm like, now you're just trying to kill people.
Yeah, I think 140 is absolutely fine if you're playing genres that facilitate that, you know.
Like drum and
But
bass, I guess. Yeah.
electro just I don't think it's made for that BPM. It just makes everything sound very rushed and nervous. And um, my songs are supposed to make you want to dance, not make you want to take anxiety tablets.
Yeah, because basically, I mean, the new songs they're just it's ridiculous. So we're talking about DJing, and you DJ a lot at all sorts of things, even though you never invite me, but that's okay. You do all these DJing things, and can do you have a most memorable sort of DJ performance or experience that you've had, and why was this special or memorable for you?
Well, if I have to think back, it would be a long time ago, a gig from a long time ago where I played in Amsterdam for what's now called King's Day, but it used to be called Queen's Day because we celebrated the Queen's birthday.
Oh,
And I was booked to play a big stage there
okay.
where all day long it had been raining and raining and raining, but there were thousands of people coming by the DJ booth. And right as I played my favorite song, um, the clouds basically part, the sun
Mhm.
broke through, and there was such a huge crowd in front of me just losing their shit over that song that I played, and we all had such a blast together. And that is one of my most memorable ones.
So you're trying to say you can control the weather then?
Yes, absolutely. I
Okay.
planned this. It's just that we didn't have social media back
You,
then, so I couldn't announce it, which
no
I
one
also
knew about
invented.
it. You also, oh wow, also
Yeah.
social media. But yeah, I think those are the moments. I think that's the main thing is like when you have those moments where you look out into the crowd and like a moment like that happens, like the skies clear up and the crowd is into it, and it's just like this connection between like everyone. Like it's just that moment. Like that moment happens, and you're just like, this is just one of those moments, and it's difficult, I think, to explain it to people, sort of what that moment, what those kind of moments feel like.
Absolutely. And I think as a DJ, um, it's I try to create feelings, you know. It's not my aim to be the coolest DJ or the most memorable DJ or what or the biggest DJ, whatever. I just want to make sure that when I play, that people get to form new memories together with their friends. And
Mm-hmm.
whether they remember me or not is completely irrelevant to me, but I want to know or I want to make sure that when I've done a gig, that people go like, "Holy shit, that night was epic and that DJ was so cool."
Exactly. That's exactly. I find it frustrating, and I don't really understand how. I guess is their artistic approach that there are people who DJ and they are really like the audience. They really don't care about it. They're like, this is what I do, and I'm gonna do my thing. And it's like, yeah, but you're there for the people. Like those people, if you want to just do your thing, then do that at home. Nobody wants to hear that shit, But if
Honestly, I was at a gig like that last week. I had a live
really,
performance, and there was a DJ in the other room who completely was not reading the room.
mm,
And this DJ was basically doing their own thing. They were ignoring the other DJs who said, "Hey, listen, you're going over time." The other
mm,
DJs lined up, completely ignoring that DJ, yelling at
what?
other DJ, playing songs that were not electronic music, completely unrelated, and basically in their own bubble at that point. And we were all shocked at how self-centered that DJ was. I'm not gonna name names. I'm not that evil, but
Yeah, you can tell
holy
me
crap, was
later,
that
and
a
then I'll
bad
add.
example?
You can tell me later, and then I'll add his name to no. But it's funny. I had a similar experience where the guy who there was this the night the guy was the promoter asked me to change slots with someone, like if I can switch my time and do the last slot, which was no problem. I was like second to last, and
Yeah.
So I was standing there and I was sort of went into the other room for a while. And then I walked back into the room to hear what he was playing. And I was playing house and he was, I don't know, I can't even tell you what type of music this was he was playing, but I was like, what the hell is this? And then I
Yeah.
thought, how am I gonna follow how I'm gonna follow up with house music with this shit? And then I go to him and he's getting ready to leave. And I look at his the timer and I see it's like only like 2 minutes. And I'm like, do you have like another song that you can just put on because I just need time to, set up and stuff? And he goes, I told him I need to leave right now and I'm leaving right now. I was like,
Oh
okay. And
my.
I turned to the promoter. I said, you're gonna about to have some silence. Like
Yep.
because like in 2 minutes I can't like plug and get everything just ready in 2 minutes. I mean I could, but I'm just not gonna rush because this guy's an asshole, you know?
Yep. And that's another thing, right? I don't think we need to facilitate uh bad behavior or encourage it. And people like this, whatever reason they might have, is just so unprofessional. And the worst thing is that most of these people think they're very professional or that they're superstars,
Mm,
but they're showing their, how you call that, their amateurism.
yeah. Well,
And I
basically,
know that DJ won't get booked anymore at that event either.
no, because if people aren't dancing, if people are just like the last thing you want to do is to go somewhere and not. I remember, like you were saying, like those moments. I remember years ago, I went. It was during Ultra for the no Winter Music Conference in Miami, and
Yeah.
there was these two house DJs at this club, this small club, and they were spinning, and it was like we. I remember walking in with my friend Frank, and the energy, the people was the music was amazing, and the people it felt like you knew everyone. It felt like a big family. And I remember we both left there and we both like looked at each other. We're like, that has to be one of the most amazing nights we've ever experienced because it was just the music was just it was like perfect house and the people were there and the vibe. And I was like, it was like everything came together. And I've
Yeah.
partied so much in my life. I've had great nights, but this night is the night that I'm just like, that was it. That if I could have that all the time, that's where I would live.
And that's kind of an interesting point you're bringing up because that's to me how it should feel. And I get the idea that lately some organizations are completely missing the mark on that point where they just want to fill the room with as many people as possible and
Yeah.
don't really care or just follow trends. But a while back, I know this organization who has troubles filling their rooms because
Mm-hmm.
they just don't understand their audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I organized this party with a friend of mine who was having her birthday, and I thought, you know what, let's turn it into an event.
Yeah.
I'll bring some live artists, you bring some DJs, we'll bring some communities together. And it was very short notice, but we ended up filling the entire room. And even though it was supposed to be a one-time party, people immediately started asking, "Oh, when's the next edition? And
Yeah.
when are you doing this again?" And I said, "Well, we're not really a, club organization or something." And they said, "No, you should do it. This is great because we feel
Yeah.
so at home." And that made it clear to me that people don't care if the DJ is famous or anything. They just
Yeah.
want to have a good vibe where they feel welcome and safe.
Yeah. And I think that's the main thing, exactly the comment the person made is it feels like home. Like when you go somewhere and you feel like it's home. And if even if you see familiar faces or you go there and you see unfamiliar faces, the vibe, the vibe is so good that it's sort of it doesn't matter who's there because that person is there because of the vibe. They're not there because of a name. They're not there to be pretentious. They're there because they want to share a certain experience or a certain feeling with other people
Absolutely.
who also are like-minded. So I think that's what's really important.
Yeah, and the same goes for me. I don't go out clubbing unless I know that the vibes at that event are super chilled.
Yeah.
There's this tiny electro party. I don't know if I can name brands here, but
Yeah, if it's something positive, it's something positive.
absolutely.
Because I don't need your negativity on my podcast, by the way. Uh,
I'll share that privately. No,
yeah, what even is it?
but this event is called Keller, and
Mm-hmm.
they have it's very tiny. It's in a basement, and it's so much fun. The people there are always, well, from what I've seen, are often the same people who visit, and they just go there. purely for the music.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're having a great time. And I talked to the some of the DJs there, and they're super nice. And
Yeah.
it's I love the music there. And whenever I see their flyer, I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going today. I am going. And whereas other parties, you couldn't pay me to
Yeah.
move off my couch, you
There's
know?
there's so many parties where it's like if you're not paying me, I'm not gonna be there. So does it take a while before your audio clicks in or what?
Sorry, what?
Oh, there you are. Oh, it click. Oh, you got it right this time. I see.
I think it saved the settings this time, and I sound even clearer than last time. This is crazy. I can hear myself. That's awful.
What am I doing to myself? I can hear myself. This is a
Like,
disaster.
who the hell gave me this voice?
That's what I'll have to say. That's like the one thing, like when I go back and I put the podcast together, like of course I listen through it, but I'm just like, ugh. My voice is just like I fucking hate this shit.
This is why I quit singing.
Yeah, it's like I just this I will tell you that's the reason I can sing, but I don't sing. And I realized when watching people like my friend Janae Cat and other people, like when I watch people who are singers when they sing, they have so much joy and they do it with just such passion. And I do have this. I think I have the same feeling, where I feel like I have the same feeling when I'm working on music. So it's like
Yeah.
I just decided I'm not going to force myself to do something I don't want to do when there are people out there who can do it. First off, they can do it and they enjoy
Yeah.
doing it. So I just align myself with people who um who are out there doing their thing, and it's a better situation, because if I have to sing like in front of people, then for me it's pure stress, because I'm just concentrating on notes, and so I'm like, no, I'm not going to do
Yeah.
this.
Plus you got to dodge all the bottles and rotten tomatoes they're throwing. I get
Yeah,
it. It's
basically, yeah.
I
They're like,
but
you're not Whitney, you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
I had that the other day. They said, "Hey, you're not Lady Gaga." I'm like, wait, what? And
What?
then
And then the
started
tomatoes.
throwing bottles.
So now we have to get to the main point here, the point in which you terrorize your lovely wife. Just so the people know, here's a lovely wife that he terrorizes by continually buying equipment. So, and
She's gotten used to it.
you have your studio. Like I remember when I walked into your studio, I was like, damn, he has everything. Like it's like just everything. So, I guess the first question is, how do you decide which pieces to sell? Like you're like, okay, this one I'm not interested in it anymore, and I want something new, or like how do you make that exchange? Because I know your agreement is you can buy if you sell.
Well, I've gotten to that point. It wasn't always like this. In the
Yeah.
beginning, I used to see some shiny toy and think, "Oh, I must have it," and I'd buy it. At some point, when the more I started using my gear and understanding my gear, I started realizing that a lot of the machines that I had similar functions, or I had bought two or three of them so I could poly chain them. And I realized I don't really need it. And I started selling off all the doubles or triplets that I had.
Okay.
And after that, I slowly got into modular because I wanted to create a portable case in which I could recreate all my songs that I made in the studio. And
Can
now
you
I've,
recreate your? Can you recreate if someone were to ask you to recreate your songs live, like do a live set? Could you do that?
yeah,
I
now
can't.
I
I
can.
don't. I don't think I can. I'm actually no. I don't. It's not that I think. I know I can't. I've
Yeah,
never.
no.
I've never tried. Like I. I. It's funny. The live performance aspect of creating music is just.
It's
It's
a
never.
challenge.
Well, it's never been something that's on my radar, even though I know it's important and essential. So what's the challenge between for you when you're obviously working in a studio is different and having to translate that into a live performance?
Well, I think the way I started off is I built a studio at home to record my songs and to go live stream. And at some point, the pandemic was over, and I thought it would be so cool if I could perform on stage with these songs because I want people to hear this. But then I thought, I don't have a car, and I'm not gonna lug all these boxes,
I can see you on
across
the I
the.
can see you on the subway, just with a big trailer behind you, just tons of
Yeah.
equipment trying to get upstairs.
Imagine the taxi driver looking at me like, bro, I'm not carrying that. We're not transporting that. Get a
Exactly.
moving company.
It's like you're gonna have to pay extra.
But no, I ended up making a modular synth case with help from Bear Modules,
Mm-hmm.
which is a Dutch brand, totally cool person running it, and that grew to a point that I even have my own modules now under the Professor Dictabeat brand.
Do you?
Yes, I've got four
Why don't
modules coming out
I don't
soon.
know any. You don't tell me anything.
That's because
You
I
just
saved
write
it for
me.
this interview, man.
You just write me messages about evil things, and then like yep, modules coming out. You got all
That's
sorts
because
of
I don't
stuff.
spam you with my advertisement. I show you what they call pebbling. When penguins
Pebbling,
like each other, they bring each other pebbles as a sign of love, and that's what
pebble,
I do with you by sending you memes. So
pebbling.
I'm
That sounds like something that happens at a P Diddy party. Pebbling. I don't know.
How
Uh,
would you know?
I
You've
don't.
been there, haven't you?
I lived in Miami. That's all I'm saying.
So you must have ran into J-Lo then. That's awful.
Fuck her. Fuck J-Lo. So when you have a song, you're like, okay, I'm going to do these songs live.
Yes.
Is your goal to recreate the song one to one, or what is your goal when you're translating it from studio to live?
No, when I do a song live, I call it a rendition. So, for example, when I saw the Chemical Brothers live for the
Mm-hmm.
first time, I lost my mind because of how cool they basically remix their own songs.
Yeah.
And you recognize instantly by a few elements what the song is that's coming up, but then they added a few things that you would never hear on the original track. And I kind of do the same with my music where you'll know it's that song
Mm-hmm.
when I start playing it, but then I add other elements to it. And since I've got that modular case, I can completely add crazy effects and, noises to it that set it apart, or maybe switch up some structures or parts. And I try to make it, I would say, almost custom made to the audience that's in front of me that day,
Okay.
so that they always get a unique experience. And
That's
and I
similar to
think
like Daft Punk. Daft Punk also like when you listen to the live album, I really like what they did. Like how they I like how they blended their own songs together, and I like how they took elements of songs and like teased you. Like they'll put something from a
exactly,
song and they'll tease it and they take it out, and it's like you know the song isn't coming, but you know it is coming. And they
exactly.
the live Daft Punk Alive is really one of the like best live recording albums for electronics or artists I've heard. Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because at some point people told me, "Hey man, your music has a lot of influences or sounds from Moroder and Kraftwerk and Daft Punk," and I just looked at him and said, "Yeah, of course. I'm like the opposite, Paft Dunk, you know."
But do you have that? Do you have that when people listen to your music? That's something. There's two things I've noticed. If I release several songs, I've always the song that I like the most is usually not the song that most people like. That's
Yeah,
number one.
yeah,
And then the song, and then that people what people hear inside of your music, like what where they feel that they're hearing influences from. Do you feel that they say, okay, Marauder and Kraftwerk, do you hear that yourself? Like when you hear your own music or
I do because I'm not gonna lie, these guys influenced me so much. Moroder or
Mhm.
Cerrone or Kraftwerk. Those are legends that, their sound is so simple yet so effective. Or even disco music. I
Mhm.
am a huge buff for disco music.
Are
You,
you?
you invite me to a disco party, I'll be there.
Oh my
Maybe not
God.
with plateau shoes or a funky outfit, but I will be there and I will actually dance. So
Wow.
so I incorporate elements of disco into my sound, even though you'd never hear it until I tell you which elements they are, and then all of a sudden it makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
when you hear my songs.
Yeah, it's true. Like Kraftwerk, I was listening to numbers again because I was
I
talking
love
to
numbers.
that is the jam. I'm sorry. Numbers is one of those songs like if you just listen to it and you listen to it structurally, you're just
Yep.
like, how the hell did you put this together? Like, how did you think of this? And then at the end, it's like this is the song. It's like it's so minimal and it's just And when I tell people, especially when I tell Germans, because most Germans don't really understand how much Kraftwerk really influenced the hip hop scene. Like all of the earlier hip hops, with
Yep.
like Cybertron and stuff like that. They were all using samples or the sounds from like Kraftwerk. But when you listen to
Hmm.
a song like Numbers, the song is just genius. It's just like the sound, the way the sounds move, and you think about the equipment and the technology they had at the time compared to now. Now, of course, it wouldn't be impressive, but back then, when you think, how did the hell did they actually pull this off like so in such an amazing way? Because there's no one like Kraftwerk before them or even
Nope.
after them.
Absolutely. But one of my favorites is Home Computer.
Yeah,
Um, and they did a live version of that where their songs, well, what I like about that in general is that their songs sound so minimalistic, but they are so layered.
yeah,
And once you start making electronic music and understand synthesizers a little bit, it's not until you figure that out that you understand how layered their music is and how brilliant it's actually been thought out.
yeah.
Whereas a lot of other people's music just sounds cluttered.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
And
It's funny when they perform live and they're like standing there at the podiums. I always think they're just watching porn.
I think they're just answering emails.
Yeah, they're just like, "Oh,
So,
ma, I'm doing a show right now. I can't talk." And she's like, "Will you make sure you bring home the chicken like I told you?"
like fast food workers. Welcome to Kraft Donald's.
Exactly. They have all this. People are screaming all this stuff, and they're like ordering takeout and shit.
Exactly.
That's what I think. That's what I think. That's what I really think Kraftwerk is doing when they're standing behind those
Probably.
podiums. So,
It wouldn't surprise me.
so you have a lot of equipment, but wouldn't you say that most of the equipment you have that you could probably even reduce it even more? Does it make sense to reduce it? Or does each one of the items that you have there now have something very unique about it that you say I can't do without it?
I think the way I've slimmed down my setup now,
Slim down. What does slim down mean?
I've gotten rid of all the duplicates and all the synths that I wasn't
So
using.
you only have
And
42 left, you mean?
let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14,
Oh my God. So you're
16,
already at 14. It's like
18,
I'm done.
20, 21, 22, 24. I got roughly 40 left.
I'm gonna testify for your wife in the divorce. I swear to God. I'm gonna be like, I understand
Yeah,
because
I know.
like because he
That's
come
not
he went
reducing at
past
all.
he went past 20, isn't that? Yeah, that's when it's time for
Yeah,
divorce.
exactly. No, but I've set up two racks now, and one rack um, is a one-on-one copy of a template that I use when I create songs in FL Studio. It's
Mm-hmm.
got the exact same drum machines and synthesizers. And then there's a second rack that I made with the stuff that you can't find as plugins.
Mm-hmm.
So the stuff from like Novation or Roland or synths that aren't really as plugins.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that setup mostly to discover new sounds or try out new things. And the first setup I use mostly to recreate my live stuff. And then I have my modular rigs that I use to recreate whatever I make in the studio.
So what are these module things that you have coming out with this company that you didn't tell me about before?
Well, there's a couple of them. So the Nabotron, that's the first module that I have, which is a CV controller. So you can basically assign on any module how to control the CV.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is
What's
the
a C what's a
Mixinator,
CV for people who may not know what a CV is?
controlled voltage.
Mm.
So it makes a lot more sense when you're actually working with modules, but if you're not working with modules, forget about it. Doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
So just ignore what you just said, everyone who's listening, because yeah,
Yes.
just ignore it. Yeah. Continue.
Then there's a thing called a switchinator, which is basically a mixing module. So you can
Mm-hmm.
plug all your instruments in there, and all the outputs on there, and then lead it out through one major submix, and that goes to the mixinator, which is like the final mix part, the mastering section basically,
Mm-hmm.
that goes to any sound setup. And then there's also a triple effect module called the Effectinator. Yes, I
Did you
know.
did you name these?
Who else?
Oh,
Who else
geez,
would
I
come up
knew
with
it.
stupid
I
names like
knew
this?
it. I knew it. I was like, that company did not give these things these names. It had to be you.
No,
Okay.
they would probably give them sensible names, but it's me, you know.
Yeah, of course.
I gotta give it my spin of absurdity.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are the four modules that are coming out
Mm-hmm.
soon. And it's just a line of a lot more that's hopefully to come.
Okay.
But I designed these things and make them together with the tech engineer from Bare Modules, and then they have them produced for me in a factory so that you don't get any DIY bullshit delivered, but an actual proper factory made module.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it comes with warranty and everything.
Yep.
So you get proper value for money.
Does it have your name on it?
Yes, it has the Professor Dictabeat logo
Oh
on it,
my
and of course the name
gosh.
of the module. And I'm going to make a few videos about it too to showcase what they can do. But right now I'm actually rearranging the studio, so it's a huge mess, and my video cameras are not connected, so I can't show anything off properly.
You're so unprofessional, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Total amateur.
Total amateur. So I'm going to lead into actually giving you a compliment, which you know is very painful for me. So,
Oh, that's gotta hurt for you.
yeah, yeah, I've been holding it in the whole time, and I was like, I guess I just have to say it. One of the
Poor thing.
things, one of the, one of the things is, I have to say, I'm always impressed by your ability to have turned sort of music really into a business in terms of that you actually make money from it, not just releasing music, but also a number of other things. Like, why do you think you're so successful, and what's your sort of, I guess your not, well, I don't want to say trick because it's not a trick, but what's your
Mhm.
sort of strategy when really, if someone were to come to you and say, hey, I want to make music. I want to make money. I want to build my life and make money through music,
Mhm.
not necessarily just releasing stuff, but other things. Like, how would you begin to even assist someone with a suggestion on how to begin?
My suggestion, I was I need to tell you a little backstory on this because
Mm-hmm.
at some point I was working in sales
Mm-hmm.
at this little startup that was some kind of insignificant startup. They didn't have nothing special going on, but in the hallways of that building, that co-working space, I saw this
Mm-hmm.
quote where I don't know what, probably some rich businessman who made that quote, but it said, "If your first product isn't embarrassing, then you're not going fast enough." And I thought that was so true because when you want to start something for yourself, the best thing you can do is just look at what you got, work with what you got, get started, just get something viable out there
Mm-hmm.
and just work with a cringe and just
Mm-hmm.
expand on what you can do and what you can offer as you go. And for me at the time, it was me and DJ skills
Mm-hmm.
and you know DJing at weddings and offering very basic service. But over time, I saved up some money. I got some equipment. I got a sound system. I got lights. I started offering more and more services as a
Mm-hmm.
wedding DJ, and that grew until I could afford to book more DJs and then, you know, make a commission on giving them work. And
Yeah.
that grew into making enough money so I could do it full time. Before I knew it, I had utilized everything around me to turn that into a service that I know that I can, fully stand behind and be proud of. But, one pro tip I can give you is never follow any of these online gurus.
Mm.
Any person that says, "Hey, follow my workshop, my course, my this and
Yeah.
that," all snake oil salesmen.
Yeah.
These people sell you these products so they can make a profit of you being a sucker.
Exactly.
Don't freaking do that.
They're just
If you know
basically
you
regurgitating shit that you can get from a book or something that you will learn along the way anyway.
They throw a lot of cliches at you. And in all due fairness, if you know you have a skill, offer that skill. Don't go overboard with your pricing. Just offer normal prices, but don't undersell yourself either, because you have to know what you're worth.
Yeah.
And if you're convinced of your skill or your capability, sell it at a normal price or
Yeah,
rent it at a normal price, you know?
yeah. I remember when you did the event. I was like, oh, he's not cheap. I was like, you know what? I was like, who
No.
does he think he is? I
Lady Gaga.
how dare he? No, no, I think that's true because you do see those advertisements for these workshops, and then like I think so. Then you see the price, and I'm like, really, people, like seriously, like there's nothing. Those people learned it from somewhere else, and that you can learn it if you're interested. And that's the whole thing. People are looking for the quick fix, and that's why those people fall into the this workshop trap thing online because they're thinking I want something quick instead of saying just take your
Oh
time
yeah.
and actually do the research, invest the time. If it's something that's important to you, then you will find the time to do the research into it to make it happen. And that's just something that's going to happen. You can't take the lazy way out.
The thing is that nobody wants to hear is that there are no shortcuts. You
Mm-hmm.
have to pay your dues.
Yeah,
You have to get familiarized with a certain environment, a circle. You have to be kind to people and not try and scam anyone because you'll get chewed out so quick by the scene that you're trying to get, you know, famous in.
yeah,
And that's also a thing. I don't like when people are mean
yeah,
or just dicks in general.
yeah. It's not
I mean,
necessary.
the pie is big enough for everyone to eat in the DJ business, regardless of what they tell you. But there's
Yeah,
so much gatekeeping happening because people are afraid of you know having less, or God forbid that your neighbor has a gig as well, or
yeah.
you know is doing well. And I think that whole mindset is just crappy. It's not
It
necessary.
it is, and what I find, at least in my experience, anytime that I've DJed somewhere, and DJed maybe with other DJs that I didn't know or I wasn't really familiar with, the ones who were the nicest were also the best DJs. They were connecting to the crowd. They were really into the music. And the people who were really sort of the assholes or the egotistical ones were the ones that even today, like you'll listen to some of their new stuff that comes out, and I'm like, you've been doing the same thing for 10 years, buddy. Like, do something new, like figure it
Yeah,
out. And I just
I think
find
it's a
that
lot of projecting, huh?
yeah, well, I think it's a
Oh,
lot. You hear they hear other people doing something, and then instead of like if I hear someone DJing and I listen and they're doing something, and I'm like, huh, how did they do that? Then I go up to them and I say, hey, how did you do that? It's not an ego
yep.
thing. It's just I'm interested because I found that was cool, and I'm interested in just knowing how do you do it. It might be something that I personally won't integrate into my style or maybe can't integrate into my style, but it's interesting. It's another tool in a toolbox that if I choose to reach into it, that I've gotten from
Hmm.
someone who does it really well. At least I feel they do it really well, and now I have that knowledge. I can pull it out if I want to. I don't have to, you know.
I think a few years back I did this live session, and there was this artist who I thought the kick sound in their setup sounded amazing. So
Mm,
I asked her afterwards, like, hey, where do you get this kick? Is this a sample? Do you make it? Did you patch something in your modular case? And she was saying, she basically just, you know, switched to gatekeeping, like, oh, I'm not telling you that. It's my secret.
oh,
That's my
Jesus
sound.
Christ.
I thought to myself, well, oh, poor thing. Said, no worries, no worries. I can
Yeah,
figure that out. And then later on, I saw the recording of her setup, and I realized that she was using samples. And I thought, okay, you are so insecure that you have to sell it off as a secret that you're
yeah,
using samples for a kick. And in the meantime, I tried to recreate that kick on my hardware,
yeah.
Googling a whole bunch of stuff, just learning. And I came up with an even better kick. And the next time she saw me, she's like, "Oh, wow, that's such a cool kick." I said, "Yeah, I know, right? Here, let me show you how."
But
And
yeah,
that was,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
But
it was a bit out of spite that I said that.
let me show
It's
you how
also
since
mean, but
let me show you
you know,
how since you don't know, bitch. Let me show
exactly.
you know it's what I discovered. Like I was telling someone, which someone didn't like. I find like for Fruity Loops, I find if you want like a really good bass, a good kick, Fruity
Yeah.
Loops, you can make a really kick-ass sounding bass. Like they allow you to really play with it, and you can do things like with a kick on Fruity Loops. Fruity Loops anyway. I think especially if you're doing like electro or like techno, there's so many sounds and so many modules you can connect to it that
Yes,
you get some really great sounds. And I think that some people, at least for years, Fruity Loops was really underestimated. I mean, I started using it, but back
it is.
when people were like, oh, this and this, but I mean, they have developed so much. And even when I started using it, I was impressed with it. The only thing I don't like the where you organize the song. Like I always have to take it out because I don't know. It may have changed. I haven't used it in a while. So
Well, I think that the program has gone from being a child's toy to being a professional DAW, and I loved using it. I was using it when it was still pretty much a joke,
yeah.
and I've grown together with it, and I like that they give free lifetime updates, unlike Ableton, where you have to buy the new version every year, which is a total scam.
Ableton,
Um,
let me tell you about Ableton. Like every time, if someone produces a song on Ableton, like from start to finish, like even the mastering, I can always hear the song and tell you it's done in Ableton because there's a
yeah,
coldness, there's a coldness to it, and I find that there's a loss of dynamic within the
yeah.
song. There's something that flattens it out to a point that it loses something, and you can always hear it. I'm not a big fan of Ableton. I mean, their live products, if you're going to do something live, I think they make life easier for people who want to do live stuff. But their studio stuff, like creating stuff in the studio, I'm not a huge
Mhm.
fan of.
Honestly, I bought Ableton 10. I bought Ableton 11. I tried to wrap my head around it, and in the end, I just thought this is such a tedious program. I'm just going to switch back to FL Studio. And I think
Yeah, because I
for
think
a
it's like
lot
they
of
made it
people,
for
it's
people who don't. It feels Ableton feels like it's made by people who don't really make music, which I know is not true. I know they have people on their staff. It is made by professional musicians, but the what they instead of trying to figure out what people's thought processes could be, so how people could use it, they just adapted their own thought process and put it into a
yeah.
software, which is not how everyone thinks when they produce.
Well, for me, it feels more like the separation between Apple and Android. Some people are really good with Apple, what's it called? Their OS,
Well,
iOS,
yeah, yeah.
and you know what? Good for them. I absolutely fucking hate it. But I use Android, and others completely shit on that as well. And
Android
I
is
think
better.
FL Studio is my Android.
Yeah, I have an iPhone, but I have it out of laziness because I had it for a company I was working for, and they gave me a phone. It was iPhone, and when I left, I'd like I'll just get another iPhone. It'll be easy to transfer the stuff over. Now it's easy to transfer it between both platforms, but
Yeah,
the next phone I get is I'm going back to Android, so that I can actually do something with my phone instead of just have some. I mean, because you can't do anything with an Apple. I mean, you can
no.
do things with the Android. So we're coming to
But
the end of our time. I have one more question for you.
yeah,
It's about DJing at weddings.
yes.
I I DJ'd one wedding.
Oh, poor thing.
It was painful.
How
Like
how did it go? What happened?
I was I was given a CD by the by the bride and groom, and the CD contained theme songs from 90s like anime like Dragon Ball Z and
Oh,
stuff like that. And I just thought like, what do you want me to do with this? And I just I don't know. I just weddings. I know they need DJs, but I guess I'm just not. I don't know. How do you do it?
trust
How do
me.
you do it?
Well, weddings, I believe, is something you should not see as a DJ gig per se, but as a
Mm.
facilitator thing. The way I see it, most people, if they're lucky, only get married once in their life.
Oh,
Some
that's a
of them, if they,
lie.
some of them do it twice. The ones with money do it three times or more, but most people get married once and they call it a day,
I
and
mean,
they want it to
you'll
be
be
their
stay married.
happiest day ever.
I mean,
Huh?
you'll stay married with your wife because you all are very good together. So that I believe in. But you're like the only marriage that I believe in. You're like the really honestly like the only marriage where I'm like, if they divorce, I would be like, you all are stupid. Get back together. Like that would be ridiculous.
Well, thank you.
That's just ridiculous.
No, but most people, they do it once. They spend a lot of money, and I can understand that they want it done right. And the way I see it, everybody spends so much money on the fucking dress that nobody gives a shit about. They spend money on a location that
Yeah.
nobody gives a shit about. But then they, the two most important things are often overlooked. the music,
Hmm.
and the food.
Really?
And when
Because
you get to a fancy location, it's all nice, but if the food is shit, you're not gonna say, "Oh, that was a nice location." No,
yeah,
you're gonna say the food was crap.
but if you get married at a McDonald's, I don't care how good the DJ is, I'm going to criticize the location.
Fair enough, but most venues, I mean, that yeah, okay, fair enough. It's McDonald's. Nobody goes there.
If like Ronald
But
McDonald is standing behind me, I'm going to be like, this is strange.
but having said that, I've been at locations where I did a gig, and then the bride told me at the end, "Listen, we already got married last year and we had a party, but the party was such a catastrophe because the DJ was awful and the food was bad and
Mm-hmm.
nobody had a good time and we had to redo it." And that makes sense because if the
Yeah,
food is bad, at least the music has to be good. And if the music
exactly.
bad, at least the food has to be good. But if both are bad,
Then yeah,
oh
it's
man,
yeah.
your friends are not going to have good memories of your wedding.
Yeah, and no one,
So
you might not have friends anymore.
exactly. So I make it a point to make sure I facilitate wedding customers as best as possible. I give them the opportunity to give me a wish list. I ask them about the venue. I contact the venue. I handle a whole bunch of shit for them that they don't even need to think about because I include in my service so that on the day itself, if they and their friends come along and they have stupid wishes, I'll play those wishes because they'll be able to dance like idiots together
Yeah,
and join, you know, create new memories. Like, hey, remember how we danced to that stupid Pokemon song? There we go.
yeah. They always have
It's all
stupid.
about the feeling.
They always
Whereas in
have.
a club, if you come to me with a song request, I'll get you thrown out the club.
I love that. It's like when people come up and like you've been playing house music all night, and someone's like, "Do you have any hip hop?" I'm like, "Bitch, have you heard me play hip hop at any point tonight?" So,
I'll do you one up. I was doing a live performance last Saturday
mhm.
at a techno club. And there's this girl who comes up to me. She sees me with this modular rig. She sees me with a keyboard. I'm nowhere near the CDJs. And she goes, "Hey, great music. Do you have some reggaeton?" And I look at her. Told her, "Honey, you're in a techno club. What makes you think there will be reggaeton at any point in the night?" "Oh, so you have nothing?" I said, "I'm playing live. What's the matter with you?" And
Oh
she looks at my
shit!
rig again. She looks at me completely confused. Says, "Oh, okay, okay, thank you." And she walks away
Jesus Christ!
completely confused.
The people, I swear to God. So,
Yes.
well, we're at the end of our time. So, thank you, Mr. Armando, aka Professor Dictabeat, for your time and for talking with me. And I
Thank you for
promise
having me.
I'll add strange sound effects in the background just to embarrass you. But I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today.
It's always a pleasure to speak to you. So, thank you for having me. And yeah, after the show, I'm going to spam you with more than just memes. I want you to know this. So from now,
I don't want any
you're going to
messages
get
from
all
you.
my advertisement.
No, I don't want it now. It's too late.
Yeah, no, no, you asked for it. You're going to get it
No,
now.
no, I'm not interested. I'm not buying.